our first training.
Oh, sorry.
Our first EU training, which is going to kind of provide a possibility for you to become a POWERPOOR trainer and supporter. This has been a task that has been going on already in 8 other member states. So with over almost 400 people who have now been registered and took the training. So just before I give the floor to our Secretary General, Sorko Edwards, a few words. That training is going to be recorded because we need to go back to it, and that for the moment will be stored just on our servers. So please, if you'd not like to see your face, don't hesitate to switch off the camera. But of course, I'm sure that for the trainers, the more faces we see, the more real life we make it look, the better. And I'm just going to copy paste here the program so that you have a look. And with that, I leave the floor to Sorka, who wants to welcome you today.
Thanks a lot, Diana. Indeed, just a few words to kick off the session. I think if you're here today, you're all very much aware of what a serious issue, an urgent issue this is for a growing number of Europeans and even policymakers. This issue is daily making headline news at the moment for all the wrong reasons as people's energy bills continue to soar. So just this morning in Belgium, we are talking about adapting VAT rules to make bills more payable. New urgent relief payments are being introduced to help people manage their bills. The statistics also tell a clear story. We see a picture of 75% of EU buildings still energy inefficient. But more importantly, almost 50 million people in Europe not being able to afford to heat or cool their buildings adequately or light. So these figures are growing because of the current situation, with potential conflict on the horizon, risking to actually make this even more acute. So at European level, we have a little bit of a contradictory situation because we have very strong ambitions. We're talking about all buildings have to be energy positive, which is, I think, an objective we all share here today. But at the moment, we have these growing number of Europeans who have to choose between eating and heating, or are actually falling into debt when they want to cool their properties to an adequate livable temperature. So this is why I think this training session comes at a really crucial moment. This objective of POWERPOOR, I think, is really a crucial one. It's this mobilization of a new workforce of those people who will really make this community outreach happen. So to help people define a path out of energy poverty. And I think the project very much recognizes that those paths can be indeed very different depending on different people's situation and the regulatory context, the context of their building. So the approach today, I think, is really an excellent one that will really look at crucial questions to go back to basically understand also the concept. So what do we mean when we talk about energy poverty? Obviously, those of us working on that on a policy level every day have grown accustomed to using the term. But I think today is a good opportunity to go back and look at what do we mean when we talk about energy poverty, and we will kick off the session with looking at how that concept is translated into different regulatory frameworks at EU and national level. But then we will also be looking at how to diagnose an energy inefficient home. It's not so straightforward. And also how to work with people so they don't actually feel ashamed. So to empower people in that situation to find a path out of energy poverty. And then the project today is also to look at a very practical level at the financing side and how to leverage the solutions such as innovative financing schemes and building energy communities. So really empowering people to find their own way out of that situation. So I think it's really an excellent session, very important timing, and I look forward to the follow-up and to building this indeed workforce, this really badly needed workforce, to a workforce of intermediaries to guide people out of energy poverty. So I hand the floor back to you, Diana to introduce the first speaker.
Thanks, Sorka. Thanks very much. As Sorka said, this is how we are going to start with the first module to understand this phenomenon, energy poverty. For sure, many of you have heard already many things. The fact that you're here, there is no doubt about it. But how do we define it? What does it mean? What is the policy landscape at national and at European level? For that, we'll have on board Housing Europe's Research Director, Alice Pettini, who later on will be joined by our coordinator, the project coordinator, Eleni Canelu from the National Technical University of Athens, who is going to give you the perspective of POWERPOOR and where does POWERPOOR fit into tackling this big problem. So without wasting any time, Alice, over to you, and enjoy the training.
Thank you very much, Diana. And of course, good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be with you this morning for this POWERPOOR training. I will start by directly sharing my screen. So that hopefully you can see a short presentation that we've prepared to accompany this first module. Let me first start by quickly going through what we're going to cover in this first part of today's training before the lunch break. So the idea is really to start with the general introduction on the meaning of the concept of energy poverty, the extent of the phenomenon in Europe, and of course, an idea of what is the European Union framework that supports tackling energy poverty. And then I will hand it over to Eleni, as was mentioned before, to quickly introduce the POWERPOOR project, and in particular, the role of energy supporters and mentors in the context of a project. Then we will have time for questions and answers, of course, and a discussion on the key takeaways. So the goals of these modules, as I said, are really to familiarize the audience with the concept of energy poverty, but also existing policies to address this phenomenon, and to present the POWERPOOR approach in this context. So first of all, here's an interesting quote to start framing the concept of energy poverty. So adequate warmth, cooling, lighting, and the energy to power appliances are essential services needed to guarantee a decent standard of living and citizen health. So the idea is really that when we're talking about energy poverty and policies to tackle this phenomenon, it's really about ensuring fundamental rights for people in Europe and globally. To understand the concept of energy poverty, again, we looked at some of existing definitions. So energy poverty is defined as a number of conditions whereby individuals or households are not able to adequately heat and cool their homes, and at an affordable cost. This phenomenon of energy poverty, it's important to highlight, it's a complex phenomenon, and it can really vary according to the social, economic, and geographical context we're talking about. Of course, also very important to mention as a first step that tackling this problem is really a key point high on the political agenda at European level. So if we look at this more into details, what we see is that we're talking about meeting domestic energy needs. So what are these energy needs? Of course, it's the energy sufficient to power appliances, so electricity, but there's also the aspect of heating adequately the homes we live in. And of course, cooling, especially in the context of southern countries or in the summertime, when this is part of what is needed to guarantee an adequate comfort in the homes. And of course, gas and electricity for cooking also essential. So what is important to keep in mind is that living in inadequately heated or cooled households has a very negative impact on health and well-being. And of course, individuals who are not able to meet their basic energy needs are prevented from fully participating in society. So this aspect of the impact of energy poverty on health and well-being has been widely researched. Also important to mention maybe that there's also an environmental impact of energy poverty, which in some cases can be translating into air pollution due to burning dangerous materials, basically. So, of course, it's a very important phenomenon per se that has potentially negative spillovers on many aspects of life. What contributes to energy poverty and why it's such a complex issue to tackle in practice? Of course, there are different aspects to take in consideration. Of course, low income of the households themselves is probably the primary cause of energy poverty, but there's also, and most important, a very significant impact of the state of the homes and the buildings therein. Meaning living in a bad quality home can easily lead to spending more on energy and to keep the homes adequately warm. And this also contributes to energy poverty. Also, last but not least, high energy prices contribute to energy poverty. And we all know we live at a time when energy prices are fast increasing. And therefore, this is likely to have a stronger negative impact in the months to come. So we thought it could be interesting to show some videos to better understand what we're talking about when we're talking about energy poverty. And so I turn now to this short video.
Everyone needs light, heat and fuel to cook with in their home. Energy poverty is the condition whereby households are unable to meet their basic energy needs and therefore cannot fully participate in society. If you are deprived of energy services or you spend more on bills than the average household, yet your home remains cold, damp or dark, then you are considered energy poor. This affects people across Europe, in urban and rural areas, in all parts of the continent. But in a time of growing inequality, some people are more affected than others. We need to make sure that governments and private energy companies provide fair and affordable access for everyone. Already there are many organisations, communities and individuals who have developed working solutions which make energy affordable, our housing more efficient and our consumption less damaging to the environment. We must ask ourselves a question. How are we going to provide heat and power to all of Europe's people?
So this was basically the end of a first short introduction on the concept of energy poverty itself. But of course, we're here also to discuss solutions applied at the different levels to tackle this phenomenon. So to start with, it's maybe important to mention that energy poverty is a part of a global sustainability agenda. Of course, I will not go into all the details here. You can check the training material afterwards, but it's important to mention that the Paris agreements that is basically the Global Climate Pact that calls for an urgent transformation in energy systems to reduce gas emissions globally. Also very important to mention the Sustainable Development Goals, and in particular SDG number 7, that focuses on ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Also very relevant, the Global Covenant of Mayors. We will go more into the details of the Covenant of Mayors later on this afternoon, but it's basically an initiative that brings together the local initiatives, so initiatives from the local level to reach the common and global targets. And also, of course, it's important to mention the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. So in the course of the last 2 years, we're all facing together a pandemic that has changed dramatically the way we live. That has meant people had to spend much longer time in their homes during lockdown. And of course, this has meant changes in the energy consumption patterns. And at the same time, because of the impact of the pandemic on the social and economic conditions in Europe and the world, it means that more and more people are facing difficulties when it comes to being able to afford to heat their homes and being able to pay for their energy bills. So this global context should be, of course, kept in mind and taken into consideration. Also very important to understand the phenomenon of energy poverty is to keep in mind that there is a range of very different bodies and very different types of organizations that all have to try to work together and contribute to tackling this phenomenon if we are to be successful in giving some meaningful responses to people who are facing energy poverty. But so if we focus on Europe and the extent of this phenomenon, so it's very interesting to look at existing statistics that are available from the member states through Eurostat. Of course, when we try to come up with estimates of the phenomenon of energy poverty, according to the type of indicators that we use, we have different results. For instance, Eurostat figures show that currently 31 million people in the EU cannot keep their home adequately warm, and 125 million people face disproportionate housing expenditure, meaning they spend too much for housing overall compared to their income. Also, 56 million people live in poor quality dwellings. 27 million people face arrears on utility bills. So we have to keep in mind all these different indicators and keep in mind that according to what specifically we're looking at, we will have different figures, but usually the European Commission refers to a range. That is to say that between 50 and 125 million people could be facing energy poverty today in Europe, which is of course a dramatic and really staggering figure. But it's also important to keep in mind that the situations varies significantly across countries. For instance, Greece is one of the countries where we see a really strong impact of energy poverty, together with, of course, Bulgaria, Lithuania, and also some other Central and Eastern European countries. But this phenomenon could be much more limited in other countries. And this is just basically a way to show the same data we were looking at before, but in maps. As you can see, some countries specifically in Southern Europe, but also in Central and Eastern European Europe, really see a very widespread phenomenon related to energy poverty. So if we're looking at Europe again, it's interesting to look at the type of solutions and the type of services that are put in place from the European Union to help basically tackling this growing European challenge. And the first and most important initiative to mention is probably the EU Energy Poverty Advisory Hub. So it's a relatively new initiative. It was officially launched in November last year, but the truth is that this initiative is a follow-up to the previous Energy Poverty Observatory that was put in place by the European Commission with a consortium of universities. And that was basically the first knowledge hub set up to indeed create shared knowledge and information on this phenomenon. But so this new version takes a step forward compared to the existing observatory, meaning the knowledge is now there and available, and now the ambition is to really offer an advisory service to national and local authorities, to all the stakeholders that we've seen in the previous slides that are involved in tackling this challenge. Once again, I would like to share with you a very short video that I think really illustrates the scope and the potential of this initiative.
Did you know that energy poverty affects over 34 million people in the European Union? The result is that many individuals, especially those coming from the most vulnerable groups of the population, are unable to heat, cool, or provide other required energy services in their homes at affordable cost. Awareness about energy poverty is growing. The Energy Poverty Advisory Hub is the leading EU initiative run by the European Commission at the request of the European Parliament, aiming to eradicate energy poverty and accelerate the just energy transition of European local governments. The Energy Poverty Advisory Hub is working closely with local governments to become the central platform where you can discover local actions and measures for inspiring socially inclusive energy transition efforts, understand about energy poverty and how to tackle it by exploring national and local indicators, enhance your skills by following online training courses, and finally, benefit from direct support and develop your own local projects on the ground. Join our growing network to exchange your own experience and together tackle energy poverty.
So back to my slides here. I hope you were able to see and hear the video correctly. I think it's important for us to just say a few more words about the advisory hub, and basically it includes an atlas about projects and initiatives across Europe, and of course the POWERPOOR project and all the training material the project is producing are part of this initiative, which is it's very important for the outreach of the project. And also interesting to mention that the advisory hub really has a wealth of material available online. So from reports to training courses and indeed access to direct support. So it's really probably the lighthouse initiative when it comes to energy poverty in Europe. But of course, beside this initiative, the European Union is also contributing to tackling the phenomenon by financing a number of projects. And here it's just important to mention that beside the POWERPOOR project, which is basically the framework for today's training, there are a number of sister projects that were financed through the same Horizon 2020 call dedicated to mitigating households' energy poverty. So to continue on the EU framework, we're probably coming to the most most important or most impactful part is about the rule of law and its potential, its current and potential impact on energy poverty at the national level. As I mentioned before, because there's not enough time to go through all the details here today, but we will make, of course, the training material available afterwards. But what you have to keep in mind is that basically through primary law at the European level, so specific directives that take into consideration the aspects of energy poverty from different perspectives, this translates into a number of concrete and tangible results at national and local level that goes from recommendations, funding measures to a most important legislation that it has to be implemented at the national level. Again, it's interesting to think of the different alleviation poverty and try to categorize them. There are, of course, financial interventions, but also measures to provide additional consumer protection in the energy retail markets. There are energy efficiency programs, and especially programs related to energy efficiency in buildings and when it comes to appliances, and initiatives aimed at raising awareness and providing information. And there was a first stock-taking exercise some years ago that identified that there are currently over 280 measures around Europe that fall into one of these categories. Also important to keep in mind, as I mentioned before, so when we talk about European legislation and European initiatives, we also have to keep in mind that in the implementation of this European framework, the final key role is played by national, regional and local governments, and also by private and public and sector and civil society on the ground. So here's an overview of the current existing pieces of legislation at European level that do take into consideration energy poverty and that therefore have the potential of having an impact on the ground through basically directly impacting the legal framework at the national level. So energy poverty, as I said before, is high on the political agenda at European level, and it comes in to different pieces of legislation that range from regulation that is related to internal market for gas, the directive on energy efficiency, the European directive on energy performance of building, and so on and so forth. But what I also wanted to focus on here is that energy poverty, so in recent years, since the announcement of the Green Deal by the European Commission, and specifically the renovation wave that is supposed to translate into significantly improving the energy performance and the quality of the housing stock in Europe, there are significant possibilities to access European funding to support indeed the renovation wave. And there are also some new pieces of legislation in the pipeline. So the most recent developments at European level, in July last year, the Commission has announced its so-called Fit for 55 package, which is basically a package of different pieces of legislation, including, I think, 13 between new legislative initiatives and revision of current pieces of legislation. And The idea is basically to reduce emissions reductions by 55% by 2030, tackle energy poverty, and make Europe the first carbon neutral continent by 2050. Most relevant for the residential sector, the Fit for 55 package includes the revision of 3 important directives. That is the Energy Efficiency Directive, the Renewable Energy Directive, and the Directive on Energy Performance of Building. And this is again with a view to drive energy refurbishment in the residential sector and increase energy efficiency standards in new build at the same time. Also important to mention, just to conclude on the European framework, as a positive development and as part of this Fit for 55 package, the European Commission as announced, they will set up a new social climate fund that is supposed to provide a dedicated funding to the member states to support European citizens that are most affected or at risk of energy poverty. This fund will provide 72 billion between 2025 and 2032 from European budget. That is basically going to be financed by extending the emission trading system to a building and transport sector. So this new emission trading for the 2 sectors that I mentioned is set to start in 2026. Of course, the Social Climate Fund can play a very important role, but at the same time, many organizations that are working with poor and vulnerable households have raised concerns that as a result of applying the emission trading scheme to the building sector, this can have a significant impact on poor households, meaning that it will translate into higher costs for them. So whether the social climate fund will be able to offset the potential negative impact in terms of raising energy costs, it's something that remains to be seen. Here we have some references and further reading on the topics that we've covered so far, but for the time being, I will stop here and hand on the floor to Eleni.
Thank you, Alice. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Yep. And now we're going to be talking a little bit about how the POWERPOOR project fits in tackling energy poverty and how we have a particular approach, and we have developed a specific series of tools and methods, and how we are encouraging the leverage of innovative financing schemes, energy communities and cooperatives, and crowdfunding schemes. So the project has already started since September 2020. It is under Horizon Europe's Research and Innovation Program. The National Technical University of Athens is coordinating the project with the support of various partners. So to look into the partners a little bit, we're 14 participating partners from 11 countries, and we have 8 pilot countries. So with the horizontal development, Housing Europe is helping us in spreading the work, in spreading the word, and in communicating what is done. We have also the European Crowdfunding Network, who are sharing their expertise in innovative financing schemes. We have ICLEI, which is a network of municipalities and of local authorities, who is also sharing the concept among its members, and Intrasoft, that is a software company helping us with the tools. Now in the pilot countries aspect, we are running this approach in 8 pilot countries, namely Portugal, Spain, Greece, Bulgaria, Croatia, Hungary, and Estonia and Latvia. So as you can understand, we're checking whether what we are the approach we're trying to is actually suitable across all Europe and in different environments. So what does POWERPOOR, the POWERPOOR project, what does it aim to do? So mainly we aim at supporting energy poor citizens to implement initially behavioral changes and low cost, no regret interventions that can enhance their energy efficiency and or lower their costs. At the same time, we're facilitating this behavioral change, and we are promoting the uptake of measures, softer, harder measures, and we're promoting the use of energy community projects and innovative financing schemes. From the energy communities projects point of view, we have energy communities and cooperatives, how to set up one or how to find one, and what are the benefits associated with energy communities, and using alternative financing schemes, because as it has been stated previously also, financing actions is one of the main challenges when it comes to energy poverty. So with our energy poverty alleviation support schemes that are designed and implemented in 8 pilot countries, we are aiming at putting citizens at the heart of the solution, following bottom-up approach and transforming consumers to informed consumers and later to prosumers, enabling the penetration of renewable energy sources and the uptake of renewable energy sources to tackle energy poverty. So how does this happen exactly? So we have, first and foremost, we have developed the POWERPOOR toolkit. We have a specific slot about it, but mainly what the POWERPOOR toolkit includes is an easy way to identify someone, a household or an individual that are energy poor. We have actions, the toolkit proposes actions, behavioral actions and low cost, no regret interventions that can be immediately taken to enhance their condition. And finally, the toolkit includes a whole tool about innovative financing schemes and community projects, such as energy communities and cooperatives, and how to set up and operate a crowdfunding campaign. At the same time, we have established a network of energy supporters and mentors across the 8 pilot countries. Now with this training, we're expanding this network in an EU level. So through the trainings, we're providing a certificate, and the certified energy supporter and mentor is able to help households in a local level, in their neighborhood, in their region, in their where they are located, identify the energy poor and help them escape energy poverty. At the same time, we have facilitated the establishment of local energy poverty alleviation offices in various municipalities. In the municipalities, the energy mentors within our network are staffing the local energy poverty alleviation offices, and they are helping energy poor people more from a municipality point of view, so they are embedding also the policy aspect in tackling the phenomenon. And finally, we have wrapped up all this information in the Energy Poverty Guidebook, which pretty much includes the whole POWERPOOR approach. And we are going to be releasing by the end of the project EU policy recommendation and national roadmaps to wrap up the findings of what we found during these 3 years of the project. We're currently halfway through the project. We have all our materials, and now we're all about implementing the solution. A little bit more about the tools. So we have, like in the POWERPOOR toolkit, we have 3 tools and the guidebook. So the first tool is Power Target, which is an easy way to identify energy poor, because as we as it was mentioned by Elitsa before, it is hard to figure out who is energy poor. It's not something that you can see just looking at them, you see, oh yeah, they're energy poor. It's something that may be hard. And of course, it depends highly in the different circumstances and different conditions that each country has. With the Power Act tool, we can enable households and citizens and users to understand their energy usage and to propose to them behavioral tips and tricks to enhance energy efficiency or lower the costs. And with Power Fund, all the innovative financing schemes and energy community projects are communicated. So how to set up and operate an energy community or cooperative, or find energy communities and cooperatives near you, and similarly how to set up and operate a crowdfunding campaign or contribute to crowdfunding campaigns that are available. And of course, we have the Energy Poverty Guidebook that also has a proposition of how to incorporate this whole approach in the policy actions of the local authorities. Of course, you do not need any more information than the ones presented in this training to use the toolkit. It's rather easy to use, and it is mainly, its main aim is to enable any type of user to find out whether they are energy poor and what they can do about it. So pretty much what is happening in the energy poverty support programs in each pilot country, the energy poor households and citizens are identified through the Power Target tool by the energy supporters and mentors, and then followed by the Power Act tool, tips and tricks and information about behavioral changes or small-scale interventions are shared. And finally, with the Power Fund tool, information on how you can tackle energy poverty through joint energy initiatives are shared. Finally, in the selected municipalities that the local energy poverty alleviation offices are located, the energy mentor are able to give the same guidance again, but also contribute to a policy level from a local authority point of view. So the energy supporters mainly directly engage with energy poor citizens and help them to plan secure funding and implement small or large-scale interventions to enhance their energy efficiency and lower the costs. And the energy mentors do all the previous ones, but also support with their expertise all municipalities in all the key areas that we have mentioned. So how everything is happening in the POWERPOOR project, we are having the trainings, we're having pretty much now the trainings, all of them have happened online, like this one in all the countries. We have now, if I'm not mistaken, we have the more than 500, no, I'm mistaken, it's more than 900 energy supporters and mentors across Europe. They are trained and certified, and they are actually taking now home visits, and they are helping citizens in their regions. And also we're having some face-to-face training seminars, especially with the municipalities that are holding an energy poverty alleviation office. Of course, there is no limit to there's no limit to the expertise the individual has to have to become an energy supporter and mentor. They do not have to have a technical background. They can be either someone working in the public authorities already, or members of the existing communities or cooperatives, or just any interested individual that needs to make a change and have an impact in the local context. So what we are expecting, among others, is about more than 1,000 energy supporters and mentors. We have more than 15 energy poverty alleviation offices. We're going to be releasing the 8 national roadmaps, 1 European roadmap, and afterwards we're going to establish the POWERPOOR Alliance for Energy Poverty, which will be sustaining the solution. So I guess that's pretty much it from my side on the POWERPOOR project. And I'm gonna stop sharing the screen. And I guess now we have time for questions, both to Alicia and myself.
Yeah, I think I would like to encourage you to take the floor, but if you feel more comfortable, you can also use the chat. It's really important for us to have your feedback and know if everything is clear or if there's anything you would like to discuss further at this stage.
Can I just ask a really practical question? So if we're not in one of those 8 countries, for instance, I'm in Belgium, where should we be, like if we want to become a supporter or a mentor, where is the best place to start looking, or is it not, do we need to wait a bit basically for that?
No, you don't. No, you don't have to wait at all. So pretty much what the pilot countries serve is like, we have national partners there. So pretty much the trainings are happening in the national languages. What you're following now, this training is suitable for you to become an energy supporter and mentor. You're going to be directly engaged by Housing Europe, also located in Belgium. And of course, you can start with your neighborhood, even your family and friends. So there's really no limit to what you can do and when you can start. Right after this training, you can just go ahead and figure out who is in your network is energy poor and how you can help them. We will see more about it in the next modules, but this project is like it can be applied across Europe. So you don't have to be restricted by being in the pilot countries.
Thank you. Thanks.
No problem. Anyone else with practical questions? I know it was a quick presentation of the project, rather quick, but we are going to be delving into more details in the following modules. So the modules are going to be explaining to us the next one about the tools, the one after that, how to perform a simple energy audit when doing a home visit. The one after that, what do we mean with innovative financing schemes, energy communities and cooperatives, and crowdfunding campaigns. And finally, we have a module about how you can help municipalities from a policy point of view. So pretty much we're covering everything following up to this presentation, but if you have any more questions, please feel free.
Maybe more than a question, a comment from my side. I mean, being one of those who looked at the details of the tools that were set up by the project that you will see later on. I think what is important to highlight is that what is offered is something really practical that can have a really tangible impact on the everyday life of the people who eventually you'll be reaching out to. And so I think it's really in line also like some other projects that were funded through EU funding. The idea is really to support empowerment of the residents, of the people who are indeed facing energy poverty. Of course, not everything can be, not all the problems can be solved through practical interventions from the residents and the households themselves. From a housing perspective, for instance, all the aspects related to the need for refurbishment of the housing stock, for switching, for instance, energy sources to more sustainable and renewable energies. This is something that what an energy poor household can do. But for this, it's also very interesting to see how the project is making the link between basically the concrete impact on the ground and the policy options that are available. And of course, the idea of giving concrete feedback to the local authorities and the municipalities, and also at the national level is really important from that point of view.
To also adapt to this, what is important to keep in mind is that even though it's just a bottom-up approach, meaning that you start small, right? So with a household or a municipality, these examples of municipalities that worked well with energy poor citizens or with energy supporters that did a good job and found like 10 households and really helped them throughout the years. It's not just visit them and say, okay, yeah, you're energy poor, do this. It's like following up, see whether they did do anything or whether they're planning to do anything to escape energy poverty. So this approach has the potential to become, to feed into policy in a local, regional, or national level. So the recommendations that are going to be made by the end of the project are going to be based on this little local beacons, let's say, of change. So, for instance, I have an example here here in Greece. So after the start of the project, so some an energy community was set up. Like people followed the training and said, okay, like we could be doing something like that. So let's see. And they, of course, they haven't started yet producing energy, but it is going through the whole bureaucracy mess. So what we figured out in this process is that administratively, it's super hard. So one of the recommendations already starting is that enable people to set up energy communities from a policy and legal framework. So even though something like this small started, even the discussion around it can spur the change, because they went to the specific office that is responsible for approving this type of projects, and this initiated some actions. Yeah. So I guess we're okay time-wise, like the slot is ending in any case. I don't know, maybe Diana, do you want to take like a really small coffee break now, or?
I was thinking, yeah, maybe we usually start at 12. So also for you, Eleni, because it's you who is continuing the training at 12, maybe we can allow for about 7 minutes we have. So to start again at 12 for everybody who wants to refresh, but also don't hesitate to, if you feel like chatting a little bit more informally, to switch off, maybe switch on your camera, or even just with a question. It's really informal what we want to do. So feel free to take a break. I'll be here in case there are some questions, so our trainers can also take a break. But thanks a lot, Alice, for that intro to policy and to what actually energy poverty means. How can we define it? And thanks to Eleni, but he stayed with us for quite a while. So feel free to take a break, and I'll be here in case there are some people who just want to chat or ask some practical questions.
Thanks, and see you after the break.
Thank you, Diana. Sure.
And Rebecca, you said you were based in Belgium? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is that? In Brussels or?
In Brussels, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
my work is also at European level. I work for Anti-Poverty Network, but I really feel like I want to do something at local level as well. So
Mhm. Yeah. But actually, that is also the goal of, that is also why Housing Europe is engaged, because indeed the way that those 8 countries have been identified is because, according to the statistics, they are the most impacted by energy poverty. So you'll see later, but that is Bulgaria, Hungary, Latvia, Estonia, Spain and Portugal, because there you also need to take into consideration the cooling, also Greece. But definitely that is just because where we could have the pilot. So you later on, you'll see there will be an like energy poverty office and so on, information office, kind of a one-stop shop. But definitely the problem doesn't stop there. It doesn't have really borders. And even in very wealthy states, we still see that there is a problem, especially the fact that today we were hoping, when the project was planned, we were thinking, oh, we need to have 20 people, but we had so many registrations and we see over 50 people today. It's really because, as Sorka said in the beginning, the problem is really escalating. But caused by, we didn't know that COVID will happen at the time when the project was planned, that there will be a serious energy crisis going on. And this is maybe what makes also POWERPOOR more and more relevant, also in Belgium, for sure. I have no doubt that people are struggling in Belgium as well.
Yeah, definitely. With the floods last year was a big, I don't know, I think in the Belgian context, that had a big impact on how people have seen, climate change. And now, I don't know, for sure, for me, I'm already thinking like, okay, we have to really, also, like, I'm not energy poor myself, but like, you feel this risk even as a not energy person, not in energy poverty, that, all these sustainability issues, like how are you going to deal with more wet summers and all this? It's such a big, a big thing to prepare for.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
And there is indeed one side that is really kind of hammering policy, but it can't go without small actions on the ground. And we are thinking that, in Greece, great colleagues are trying to approach people in their language. So that is also why we wanted really to expand it. And we know that actually in the warming session, we have someone from Mexico, a researcher from Mexico. I saw Zeus was in. It's really so early in the morning over there, which means that the project is really going beyond borders that we actually expected. So it really shows that it's the best. Yeah.
We forgive him if he doesn't switch on the camera at 5 a.m. in Mexico.
There he is. Hi, Zeus. Nice to see you. What time is it? Is it already 7?
No, it's 5.
It's 5 in the
It started everything at 4. But I'm
Right.
here.
Wow, that's early.
For motivation for all of us, totally. Yeah. Okay.
So I think we have still 1 minute before giving the floor to Eleni.
Yeah, I'm just going to say in this last minute that even though I wasn't energy poor last year, this year I have natural gas in my home as a heating option. This year I am, because of where the prices have gone. So yeah, even if you're not, it doesn't mean that you are not at risk, let's say. Yeah.
Yeah, true. And with COVID, that we spend a lot of time at home.
Yeah, exactly.
You just switch on the heat like the double or more than the double, because in the evening after probably 11 you switch it off.
Yeah.
If you come back from at 7 p.m. But if you work from home, that's completely double of the time you keep the heating on.
That's really true. And also, indeed, after like March 2020, I haven't been going to the office at all. So it's home office for me all the time. And that means, indeed, I have been using the utilities in my house way more than I would have been doing in normal circumstances, let's say.
Yeah.
We feel you, Eleni, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially for the people who doesn't have, who probably families that the two of them, they are working, so no one normally is home during the day.
Mm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, indeed.
All right. I hope people are back. It's back.
I see the same number connected and even more. So.
So yeah, it's true. We're at 55 people altogether. Great. Then, yep, so that we don't delay the lunch as well, there will be a 1 hour break. Again, a digital lunch, unfortunately. But Eleni, over to you.
Great. Okay, so we're going to be delving into the tools now. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Yep. I'm gonna share a presentation that yeah, about the tools. So about the tools, I'm guessing that many of you will be having questions when it comes to the tools and how that may be arising as I speak. Please feel free to write them in the chat or just note them down so that we can go through all the questions by the end of the session. So in this sub-module, let's say, because it's a part of module 1, we have the POWERPOOR toolkit and the Power Target and Act tools. I'm sorry, I missed a tool here. And finally, we're going to do some key takeaways and, of course, some exercises on how to read utility bills, because it is important to know how much energy we are spending. So we're familiarizing with the toolkit, we're providing examples, and we're reading the bills. I'm just gonna go ahead and delve in. So we've seen this slide before, but pretty much the Power Target, Power Act, Power Fund tools and the guidebook accompanying them. So we have the Power Target tool that uses a simple data-driven approach to identify energy poor citizens. Then we have the Power Act tool that both enables the users to understand their main drivers of energy spending and provide them with tips and tricks to enhance their energy efficiency and or lower their costs. And finally, we have the Power Fund tool, communicating everything that has to do with innovative financing and joint energy initiatives, which we will not be looking into in this section because it's part of module 3, which touches upon innovative financing schemes and joint energy initiatives. And finally, the Energy Poverty Guidebook, which soon will be online, incorporates the whole approach, and it's actually a really good read because it has in a more sequential way, let's say, what the POWERPOOR approach aims to do. So the Power Target tool. A few things about the methodology because before we delve into actually using it. The data-driven approach that is so many times referred to, practically it's a quantitative approach that we have taken to develop the Power Target tool, but we have enhanced it with qualitative indicators. So what we used here for the Power Target tool is the 10% indicator, and what we like to call it is the enhanced 10% indicator. So the 10% indicator, in case you are not familiar with it, it's one of the early indicators, let's say, that was used to find whether someone is or isn't energy poor, is that if you spend more than 10% of your annual or monthly income in energy expenses, again, annually or monthly, then you are energy poor. What we did to enhance this indicator is that we took into account qualitative measures. For instance, if there are a lot of dependent members in one household and one person or two people out of 4 or 5 bring in the income, then the actual income is lowered, right? Because more people are trying to live off of it. So we have tried to leverage this qualitative aspects of energy poverty, since of course it is also an issue that highly touches upon social situations. So that's pretty much the methodology we used here. So then after the Power Target tool, we have the Power Act tool, and what the methodology we used there is mostly we have tried to map all the different possible sources of energy usage in a household, so that we can see the main drivers of cost and energy spending, so that we can evaluate their thermal comfort, figure out a little bit about their energy profiles, and encourage them to become more energy efficient through behavioral change. And finally, the Power Fund, I'm not going to stay a lot here, but pretty much aims at communicating innovative financing opportunities and provide an online marketplace of available energy communities and cooperatives, and of existing crowdfunding initiatives that you can give some money to, and of course provide all the relevant information about how to set up and operate an energy community or cooperative, and or set up a crowdfunding campaign. All the details from the specific business model canvas that needs to be used to how you can manage people, let's say. So how to access the PowerPoor toolkit. So this is a snip of the PowerPoor website, which you can find here. Please feel free to check it out. You go to the toolkit section and the tools are there, or if they're already in the first page. However, we do have also a standalone page for the tools. So when you click even or via the website or through the standalone page, the same thing comes up, but we can access it in two ways. And here you can see the 3 tools and the guidebook. So what do we need about the Power Target and Power Act tools? We need to create an account. Creating an account is rather easy. If you already have an account, you just log in, but if you don't, you register. And of course, we have choose the preferred language option here, which we have English, of course, but we also have it translated in the 8 national languages, and also Basque to better accommodate the Spanish region. So I guess it's English for the EU-wide trainings. Of course, there is a possibility, if one of the other languages better works for you, just go ahead. It works perfectly in all the languages. So when it comes to registering, this is all the information we're going to be needing. Whether this is a personal account or business account, it doesn't really mean a lot, because as we discussed, this is not this is not a toolkit that professional, let's say, engineers or energy auditors use. It's just, if you are one of those and you do want to use it, we have just added the option there. Usually we go for the personal account. We need an email, the language you prefer, which country you're from, and which city, and a password. And when all these fields are filled in, you can sign up, and you get to the My Account page. So here in the My Account page, we have a dashboard of personal information. We have my dwellings, vulnerability assessments, and my behavior assessments. We're going to be looking into each one of these categories separately, but pretty much in the personal information, Here you can see I have some Greek words here because I chose Greece, and it's the Greek word for Greece. But you can edit that, and let's say that I move abroad, I can change that. Here on the side, as you can see, we have Power Target and Power Act tools. When you click there, you can just access the tool directly. So this is mostly like a My Account page, like an overview of what is happening in the toolkit for me, for Eleni. In My Dwellings section, you can add different buildings. So what is the idea behind this? You're an energy supporter. You will go ahead and visit, let's say, 10 households. You will have 10 different information for 10 different households. In this section, in My Dwellings, you're going to be having information per dwelling, not really building, but per, let's say that you visit apartments and you visit homes or you visit houses, I don't know. You just have all the information there. So you add a dwelling each time, and you have the country that it is located, the city, and square meters, the area in square meters of the house, what type of building it is it an apartment, is it single, I don't know, is it like I don't remember the word now, but you get the point. And the number of floors means which floor it is located at. Let's say that you have a 5-story building and you're in the 4th floor, you put 4, and which year the building has been built. So what do we need this information? For instance, the year the building has been built is really important in assessing both energy profiles and whether someone is energy poor or not, because older buildings tend to be less energy efficient. So now in the vulnerability assessment, we have here the results of the Power Target tool. So for instance, here we can see that I, as Eleni, have visited 2 different homes. One of it was 90 square meters, the other one also 90 square meters, but you can see they had different annual consumption, different annual cost of electricity bills. And as we can understand here, seeing it just from above, the first one, they use electricity as for heating purposes. Also, the second one uses maybe oil, as it is in liters, but we will see it afterwards how this comes up. But this is the 2 households I have visited. And here below, you can see the score. The first score is 1719. The second one is 1934. They are red. They are energy poor. We are going, of course, to look into the scores and how and how the scores are calculated later on. But this is like if I had 10 different dwellings with 10 different surveys, this is where all the information appear. Next, we have the my behavior assessments. This is from the Power Act tool. Here we are looking into whether the energy profiles and whether we can assist them through behavioral changes. Here, because this is a demo account and not a real account, the Power Target dwelling and home is not run in the Power Act one as well. As you can see here, I have another assessment of 85 square meters, but this is just for testing. Here we can see the score below. We have 95, which is green, and 89, which is yellow. Of course, again, in Power Act, we will see what the scores mean. So delving into the Power Target tool specifically. So what we saw now was the My Account bit of the tool. So the one that provides an overview of what is happening. In the My Account, again, we can press here the Power Target tool and we can be relocated, or of course, same through here, we can be relocated in the first page of the Power Target tool. So here in the Power Target tool, you can see a little bit of instructions. So how does it work? Complete the survey, assess your energy expenses, receive recommendations on your energy costs. So this is pretty much what it covers. And you press Start Survey. By pressing Start Survey, this thing needs to be filled in. So we have 3 different sections. We have the income information, we have the electricity consumption information, and we have the heat consumption information. I may remind you here that what we used was an enhanced 10% indicator. So of course, what this tool does is pretty much benchmark the income to the energy expenses, and it a little bit changes the income according to qualitative indicators. So for let's see it section by section. So the first section, the annual income information. We have the annual income. Please here make sure to actually put the gross annual income, just your annual income as it is in your work contract, let's say. The age of the person that fills in the survey. I would say that here in the age section, it's better if you just go ahead and fill in the oldest person in the dwelling. So if let's say a family lives there and they are also and the grandmother is also staying with them for some reason, you put the age of the grandmother. And why is that? Because studies have shown that and according, of course, to the World Health Organization, older people are more comfortable in higher temperatures. So let's say that thermal comfort in a household is 19 to 21 degrees. For older people, according to WHO, is 23 degrees. So the tool actually takes into account age. So the number of dependent children here, if there are children in the household, or if there are people that are not working, but are dependent in the, are living off the same income as stated before, you put them there. And again, the marital status is there just, it's pretty much just so that a spouse annual income section can come up in case there are 2 people with an income in a household. Of course, you can just put the family's income in the annual income section and disregard the marital status whatsoever, like put single in it. But in any case, we just wanted to give a chance to enter another person's income there. So that's pretty much it for the income information. We have then the second part, which is the electricity consumption information. So here you can see on top that we have this checkbox here. I only use electricity to cool my house. This box, actually, we have added this because in a lot of countries in the south of Europe, which we do have a lot of them in the consortium, it is typical for people to use only electricity to both heat and cool their houses with air conditions or any other appliances that use electricity. So in case they do use electricity, we check this box and the heating information section disappears altogether. So again, here we need the property size, the energy supplier. This is not mandatory to be filled in, but we thought it would be interesting to see whether there is a correlation between energy suppliers and people that are living in energy poverty. Then we have the annual consumption in kilowatt hours and the annual cost of electricity bill. So for these two, I have just added here a small utility bill, electricity bill. So what can happen there is add all the kilowatt hours and all the cost for a yearly or I don't know, whatever period of time basis you wish to. So just be careful. In order for the tool to work properly, you need if you put the annual income, you need to pull the annual expenses as well. So if you put the monthly income, you do need to put the monthly expense as well, but it may not work the same because each month is not representative, let's say, for the whole year. Because if it is like a summer month and you stay at home and you're in the south, you use a lot of air conditioning, so it's not representative for the whole year. So here it needs to be the energy supporter needs to be extra careful when filling that in. Then you can see we have a checkbox. If you do not use a thermostat, the two areas below disappear. But in case you do use it, they do use a thermostat. You just state there the degrees that it is set in winter and in summer. Now for section 3, the heat consumption, we have the heating fuel, we have the annual consumption again, the annual cost of the heating bill, and the thermal comfort. So the heating fuel, as you can see, we have district heating, natural gas, oil, wood, pellet, propane, and you can just check one of those. And again, the means of measurement in the consumption are changed accordingly, and you can just put, for instance, kilowatt hours for natural gas and liters for oil. And if it is district heating, the annual consumption is just eradicated, because usually in district heating, people do not know how much the consumption is in energy-wise. They just know how much they pay. So the annual cost stays there, but the consumption leaves. And here we have a qualitative question. So my thermal comfort during winter is, so here you can state, I considerably feel cold in my home. I sometimes feel cold in my home, and my home is sufficiently warm through winter. When everything is filled in, you just press submit, and then we have the classification. So for this example, I have used the red classification, and you get a message that says your energy spending is critically high. You can greatly improve your living standard by participating in support actions to reduce your spending. So you can go just below, and you can go to Power Act and see what you can do, like behavioral wise, to change your circumstances. You can go to Power Fund to join an energy community or cooperative, and to check out crowdfunding campaigns, or you can find specific programs to improve energy efficiency for your home in a national context. Just a little bit of information about the score. So the green classification, according to our supposedly the 10%, but when you are below 10%, you're fine. You're green and yellow. You're not energy poor. Of course, between 5 and 10, you are not energy poor, but you are at risk of energy poverty. So, for instance, you are really vulnerable in some change of prices. Let's say what happened, pretty much what is happening now. If you were on the edge of energy poverty and the prices rose a lot, then you're energy poor. 10 to 15, your orange classification, it is above the threshold, so you're energy poor. And in the red classification, you are significantly above the threshold, so you're really energy poor, and you really need to take some action to enhance your condition. Yeah, that was pretty much it for Power Target. I can see a lot of chat questions. I don't know, Diana, do you want me to maybe?
I was just going to say, Elena, I was not sure whether you really see them when sharing the presentation, but maybe also we could, given that we have 4 questions here from Rose Power, we already know her from the warming up session. Rose is from a regional authority in Ireland, and Zeus we already know, who is a researcher based in Mexico. Maybe we can take those 4 questions, if you don't mind now.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Okay, so Rose is asking whether you could explain why did PowerPoor not use the 4 primary indicators that the EPOF used to identify energy poverty in their methodology. So why did we take a different path?
Yes, sure. Okay, so first and foremost, there are the 4 indicators of the EPOF, of course, but keep in mind that they are also revising and adjusting now in the Energy Poverty Advisory Hub. What we wanted to do practically is use an easy way that would work a little bit for all the partners, because our main issue, because we had this whole round of workshops to figure out the requirements for the tool. When we did this, we figured out that because we have these countries from the south and the countries from the north and from Central Europe, the requirements were vastly differently. Like each country has unique characteristics that really we found out that we could not address in any other case. So that's why that's pretty much it. It worked well at the time for the pilot countries. Of course, as we are also saying in our guidebook, we do not suggest that this is a one fit for all situation. Of course, you can use other indicators or other ways to identify energy poor people. We just went for this one as we thought it is the one that could be more easily filled in all the countries. I hope that it covers it.
Thanks, Eleni. Maybe we can take also the second question from Rose, and then she can say what are the answers for her question before we go to the next. She's also asking, what about energy poverty that is hidden? For example, energy spending is low, let's say below 10%, as the household does not consume sufficient energy and spends their income instead on food, for example.
Yep, that's a really good question. And we had also this discussion with our Portuguese partners early on, but also now. So the job of the energy supporter is initially to just, because of this training, they're going to be educated enough to also see if they do not spend any money on heating or in electricity at all, they are energy poor, even if the tool doesn't say so, because of course, the expenses are not going to be related to energy. So if you go and support someone as an energy supporter, of course, you can see that they are energy poor, even though the tool doesn't say so. So this is the whole issue with hidden energy poverty. We were thinking of adding such a button, let's say, on top of everything. They do not use any means to heat or cool their house, but we decided against it after all, and we just thought that this is something the energy supporter can do. Because you will see it later on, I think, in the trainings or in a follow-up email. We make the energy supporters kind of keep track of everything. So they note it down in a form. If they are energy poor but not use the tool, they let us know.
Thanks, Eleni. Yes, indeed, we even hear for very extreme situations where people disconnect themselves from the grid. So
yeah,
it can really be tough. Okay, so Rose says, thank you, Eleni. Then we go to Zeus.
You're welcome.
So
I think we have another one from Rose with GDPR, right? So I'm just going to say it really quickly. Of course, this is a European project. Not only we're GDPR compliant, but we are getting controls and checked from the Commission that we are indeed GDPR compliant. So all the data are stored in a secure server and they get anonymized. So if, for instance, a supporter visits me, let's say Eleni Canelu, and they figure out that I am energy poor, I am anonymized. So I'm just one person in Greece that is energy poor. So we have been following GDPR approved techniques to be compliant.
Okay, all right. So yes, GDPR is indeed also in communication and in nearly every part of the project that we really work on and that concerns people and people's data. So we go to Zeus, who is asking, could you explain again the enhanced indicator?
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna, after this session, I'm gonna put in the chat the original paper of the 10% indicator. The then 10% enhanced indicator is just something that we came up with, and we are actually now in the process of getting it published in a peer-reviewed journal. So what is the 10% indicator is just one of the oldest and indicators. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it started in England, and it states that if you spend more than 10% of your income in energy expenses, then you're energy poor. The enhanced part of it is that we took into account qualitative indicators. So, for instance, what we do is like we take into account if you feel cold in your house. So even if you are not spending more than 10%, but you do feel cold, and we can see that you're almost there, you're energy poor. So this is pretty much the enhanced part of it. I'm really simplifying it right now because there's a whole algorithm and the logic behind it, but pretty much what happens is that we calibrate the energy expenses and the income to reflect also the qualitative questions and answers. So I guess that that covers it, maybe.
One also, yeah. Sorry, Elaine, did you want to continue?
No, I was gonna say the next one from Zeus. So
go ahead. Yeah.
How do we define income? So for income, because we use this specific indicator, we just need the gross income of the household. Before, so I'm sorry. I can see that you're saying not after housing expenses. No, for sure not. We just need the income after taxes. So the income that actually goes in your pocket, let's say, for living after what's it called? Not clean. The income after taxes. Yeah, that's the
net. Yeah, the net.
Okay.
Salary. All right. Then here, Daniela Torres from ICLE, who is also one of the trainers. He's just referring again that we do follow the work, and especially ICLE, they're really helping on that, on indicators with the Energy Poverty Advisory Hub and the EU Covenant of Mayors, something that is coming in the last module. And Catarina Pereira from Copernico, which is also one of the POWERPOOR partners, she's saying, if your electricity appliances, illumination and heating system is all electricity, how do one know how much spent in heating their home is spending in heating their home if all comes in the same bill? How do you distinguish what is spent for what? I guess is her question.
Yeah. So in Power Target, you don't, because practically what you need in Power Target to see is the benchmark between expenses and income. The distinction happens in Power Act, where you see the main drivers of cost, but also keep in mind that if you only use electricity here, you do not need to know, if you only use electricity to both heat and cool your house, you do not need to fill in the heating section information. So you just put everything you have in the electricity bill section. So everything goes in one place. So you don't need to know. You need to know in Power Act, and then we're gonna see how it happens in the next one.
Okay.
I guess this is everything, right?
Yes, it seems like the tools trigger some questions. So yeah, I think we can continue.
And I was sure they would, but let's try and keep in mind that this is just a tool that aims in a simple way to find out if someone is energy poor or not. Like, For instance, this toolkit could be a good example to be used by municipalities, let's say, for instance, to figure out energy poor districts and try and figure out policies to address those the needs of those people. So just to keep that in mind. And also that we try to accommodate people from across Europe with vastly different characteristics. Just one example, in Estonia, they mainly have district heating because the people there live in the housing situation. You don't really own the house. You just you live in one part of a small of a huge block of flats. So we needed to accommodate that, but also accommodate the need of the Greeks that most of us own our houses. So we know everything. So it was a bargain at every point. So for the Power Act Now tool, here we can see a little bit how understand our energy usage and the benefits associated with energy efficiency intervention, and encourage users to actually take behavioral action to mitigate their costs. What is happening here? Okay, yeah. Again, similarly as Power Target, you can either access it from here in the My Account page, or again here. You always land in the same place. This is where you land, and you start the assessment in this tool, assessing the energy consumption of your home and save energy and money. So here, as we can see, there are four different sections to be filled in. We have building information, we have heating, we have air conditioning operation, and we have the electric appliances operation. So the building selection, as you can see on top here, I guess, yeah. In the Power Act tool fetches information that you have already put in the My Account page. So if you have already placed a building, which has a unique building ID here, let's say building 39, you can fetch building 39, and it just fills in some of the information here in the building information section. Otherwise, you just go ahead and put it by hand. The property size, again, in square meters, the number of household members in total, the electricity supplier. And here we have a question of the cumulative hours spent at home per day. So if you have two people that, let's say, work from home and only go out of the house 1 hour per day each, then you put 46 hours. So it's the cumulative hours spent at home. Keep in mind here, if you are referring to a pre-COVID period, let's say that you need to check out what we're doing, or a COVID period, or a after COVID period, fingers crossed, to put the hours that you indeed stayed at home at the time. So let's say you work from home now, but you worked in the office before 2020, and you're using 2020 as a year of reference, or 2019, you just put the hours that you were spending at the time. Keep in mind also for both tools that the fields with an asterisk are mandatory. And moving on to the heating section. So here, what we need to add is the heating fuel again. Again, here we have natural gas, oil, wood, pellet, propane, district heating, and electric heating appliances. This is different. This addition here is because a lot of the partners have stated that there are people in several countries, as I said in the previous tool, that do use only electric appliances for heating purposes. So they use this the air conditioning appliances or any other form of appliances that are out there in the market to warm themselves up. Here we need the last year consumption and of course the last year consumption needs to be in accordance to the selected fuel. Let's say that you are using only electric appliances, then the last year consumption will be in kilowatt hours. Let's say that you use both, here's the thing, let's say that you use both electric appliances and heating and some heating fuel like oil or natural gas. So you use oil and you enhance the oil for your heating with some electric appliances. What you do here, is you just put the electricity information in the below section, and here you use the fuel. Because we have below, we have air conditioning operation, and air conditioner running electricity, and instead of air conditioning, it can be as well any other electric appliance used for heating. So that here, that part is a little bit tricky, but keep in mind that the only reason it is tricky is just because it tries to accommodate a lot of different information for a lot of different people. Here you can see that we also have a checkbox that says I do not use a thermostat in case the user does not use a thermostat. If they do not, the heating thermostat field just vanishes. But in case they do use, you put in the top right field where in which degrees they set the thermostat. Let's say it's 20 degrees for winter. In case they use anything that works with a boiler, here we can say the last boiler service, how many years ago it has been. If you did it now, you just put 0 there. And then we have another qualitative question just to assess a little bit how the shell of the building is. When we sit near a closed window in winter, we feel considerably colder than the other areas of the home, slightly colder, or no difference at all. So in the third section here, we have the air conditioning operation. The air conditioning operation is, do you use an electric air conditioning unit? And here you can select only in summer, in winter and summer, or you do not use it at all. Here, as I said previously, in case they are using any form of electric appliance instead of an air conditioning or with an air conditioning in the winter, you also check it here. So you can also check it here. So if let's say a household uses oil and air condition, you can check the oil option in the second section, and in the third section you can check here that in winter and in summer, or in winter only. In winter and summer, sorry, they do use the air condition. When did they change the filters? So here we have the 1 year ago, 2 years ago, and more than 2 years ago. And of course, the thermostat, where do you set it? In winter and in summer. Let's say in winter you do 25 degrees for the air conditioning because you just press the button a little bit and then you let it cool. And then let's say that in summer you also do, I don't know, like 22, 23 degrees. So for the electric appliances part, here is a more of a general question about the status of the electric appliances in the house. So for my lighting appliances I use, and there are the different type of light bulbs that can be used. And to heat water I use, and here are different methods that can be used to heat water: electric water boiler, electric and solar, natural gas boiler, natural gas only, and solar again, district heating system. So here we check that. And the electric appliances that are used more often, do they remain in standby mode, are turned off, or are kept in standby mode at all times? So if you have filled in all the information and you press submit, if there's an error, the field is going to get red. But in case there's no error, you submit the questionnaire and then you get a classification according to the energy habits. So here the classification works similarly as in Power Target, but a bit differently. We'll see it in the next slide. And below of the classification, if you get red one, let's say, it means that there are behavioral changes and tips and tricks that you can follow to drastically decrease energy spending. And the proposed actions are below. So for instance, if for heating, you are using, I don't know, oil, let's say, this needs to be changed maybe now because the price is the same, but it proposed to be switched to natural gas. Little did we know back in 2020. But for instance, in the air conditioning section, if you haven't changed the filters for more than 2 years, it proposes to change the filters. So it's really small scale and low cost. After you have used Power Act, then the toolkit proposes that you use Power Fund to find out more on how you can finance large-scale interventions or what you can do to significantly lower your costs. And of course, we have the section about the programs that can be used in a national level there also. And let's see a little bit about the score. So we have the red classification. So if you're between 0 and 30%, there's margin for significant improvement by just changing your behavior. If you're at yellow, there are some stuff you can do. If you're at blue, there is margin from improvement, but it's really small. There's not a lot you can do behaviorally wise. And when you're in the green classification, there are limited room for improvement from just behavioral changes, and you need to follow up with the Power Fund to see whether you can implement some large-scale interventions. For instance, to give an example here, let's say that someone is red in Power Target, so they are energy poor, but then in Power Act, they are green or blue. So practically, you cannot propose a lot of behavioral measures to them. It happens, of course. They are doing everything right, and they do so with what they have. So what you propose then is, let's say, whether they have a very old shell, a very old building, a very old dwelling, you propose to them, would you be up to doing some large-scale interventions with some help either from programs that exist that are there to help you in a national level, or by using a crowdfunding campaign, and you just redirect them to Power Fund to see whether they would like to do so. Or would you want to lower your energy expenses by joining an energy community or cooperative? We will see in the following modules how this works, but in a nutshell, let's say that you do join an energy community, then with net metering, you can only pay the difference between what you produce and what you spend. So you lower the expenses a lot. Yeah, so that was pretty much the Power Act tool as well. I'm just gonna go ahead now and do the reading a utility bill exercise because it's rather short, and we can have a discussion afterwards. So the utility bill, I have put here one, it's Greek. I have a German one afterwards, but you cannot find online a lot of bills. So what you need to be careful about is the first one, which is the amount of money that you need to pay now. The second point is the kilowatt hours spent, and it usually comes with a period of time. So in this account, you can see that it's from 11th of May, 2018 to 11th of September, 2018. It was 230 euros for 1,400 kilowatt hours approximately. So what is a tip here that needs to be followed is that there are some bills, some utility bills that have only a cost on them. There are some other ones that have cost and kilowatt hours spent. That I know this from living in Greece, though. I'm not sure how it happens in the rest of the countries, but when you are adding up everything, just make sure that you add up every cost, because even though the utility provider is not measuring the kilowatt hours, they are charging you based on assumptions. So make sure to add up all the costs, and again, make sure to add up all the kilowatt hours for when they measure it. I'm not sure, maybe in some countries, some form of smart metering system is in place, and they do know exactly the kilowatt hour spent. What happens in the case of Greece that I know is that you get a bill every month, but you get one bill every 4 months that has measured the kilowatt hours on it. So what is happening is that the energy provider, they charge you based on what you did last year on the same time period. So what you need to do as an energy supporter is you add up all the costs and you add up all the kilowatt hours and you put them in the tools. So here we have a natural gas bill. So here we have, again, for the natural gas, it's the consumption, we have kilowatt hour spent, we have time period. It's same old, you just need to add everything accordingly. Yep, I think that's pretty much it from my side on the tools. I guess we can go ahead to questions, a bit of a chat maybe.
Thanks, Eleni. We have, before we go for lunch, because we resume at 1:45, so that we allow people to have a bit of a break. We have 2 questions. One is coming from Emmanuel Harisis. I hope I pronounce well. Can you explain again the actions we have to take if we have a combined heating fuel?
Yeah, so I guess that was a bit tricky in Power Act. I'm just gonna, okay, yeah, I went off the, okay, so here we can see it, that in, if you mean in the Power Act tool, here we have heating and air conditioning operation, right? So one of the issues the energy supporters faced when they went out on the field, that's what testing the tools is about, is that sometimes in some households, they use electric appliances not only to cool themselves in the summer, as we have been accustomed to in the South, but they also use electric appliances in the winter. So if they only use electric appliances, what one can do is you can go ahead and just choose it here in this section that they use electric appliances and just put heat and fuel as electricity and the consumption as the consumption of the electricity bill. If they also use an air conditioning operation, however, you need to be smart about it in a way, you know what I mean? You cannot double count. We just need to avoid double counting. So we need to be a little bit flexible. So if they use something that consumes electricity, both in winter and in summer, you just add all the cost from the electricity bill. That's what I mean. It's not some complicated task that needs to be fulfilled. It's just that you need to be smart not to double count money or kilowatt hours spent. So if they both use air conditioning and they both use electric appliances, put everything in the air conditioning operation section and use the heating section to put in the oil that they may be using. Because if I understand correctly from the name, the question comes from a Greek person. So in Greece, we see it all the time, right? They have, maybe they have district heating or they have oil, and they just need a little bit more heat, or I don't know, they just also they also help the situation by using some electric appliance. That's all there is to know here in this part. I hope it covers it.
I think we have another 2 questions coming from Greece. Eleni, would you like to go ahead with Marcos and Nikolaos?
Yeah, no problem. I can go ahead. So if we use different lighting appliances, so different use rooms. So you mean like you have LED bulbs in one, and in the second one you have halogen or something? Did I understand correctly? If so, just use no problem. If so, just use the ones that are most prominent. In Power Act, you see, the thing is that you just need to propose to them, in case they're not using energy efficient light bulbs, just change to energy efficient light bulbs. It's not like, it's not something that will go completely wrong in the tool. You just propose it to them. It's a soft measure. It's rather easy to do. So yeah, another question is for the Greek context again. So again, I'm not sure how to say καθαριστικό in English. That's one thing. So don't worry, I got you. So what you need to register is all the bills. So the both καθαριστικό and both normal ones. You add up, sorry, as I was saying, you add up the cost of all the bills. The only thing is that in a καθαριστικό, you have the kilowatt hours also. So you can add the kilowatt hours there. I hope that, yeah, I hope that clears it out. Yeah, no problem. Okay, I guess, I don't know if anyone else has something else to say here on the tools. Please feel free to just, let me just show you one more thing here. For the tools, you just feel free to check them out for yourself. And in case you have any questions, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, I think I have it here. There is a contact form and an email you can send us. So if you're trying to work out the tools and you see that, hey, I don't remember this one from my training, or what am I supposed to do there? There is a contact form, there is an email, send us an email. You're going to be discussing with one of us in the POWERPOOR team, and we're going to clear up everything for you. So that's always the case.
Yes, totally. And we are going to send also the presentations after the training today so that you can go back to that. All right, so that leaves us with about 45 minutes for a break. Thanks a lot, Eleni,
No problem.
all the questions. Yeah, you're going to be tuning here and there in the afternoon as well. So we're now going to close for 45 minutes, or maybe a little bit, let's say 35 minutes, the Zoom link, because so that we stop recording. But we are going to come back again at 1:45 when Edith from Housing Europe and Anna-Marie from DOOR from Croatia are going to explain to you how do we go from the theory to practice with some relevant case studies. So we hope to see you there. We're halfway through, so thanks a lot for staying with us. And yeah, see you with the same link. Please join in for 1:45. And bon appetit. Thanks a lot.
Great. See you in 45 minutes. Bye.